Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right into it. Today, we are taking a deep dive into the incredibly dense world building and the complex character psychology established right at the very beginning of one of the most acclaimed fantasy reincarnation stories out there. We're going to break down exactly how this brand new world operates, how its magic system is so meticulously structured, and most importantly, how a deeply flawed protagonist begins to navigate a miraculous second chance at life. So I want you to start by just asking yourself this. What would you do if you kept all of your adult memories in a world of swords and magic? Just imagine waking up with a completely clean slate. You're an infant, the world is full of literally limitless potential. But, well, there's a massive catch. Inside your mind, you are still carrying all those heavy memories, that totally cynical worldview, and the profound regrets of a failed past life. That is the exact psychological starting line for our protagonist. Section 1. A second chance at life. Let's look at the jarring reality of this sudden reincarnation, because there's this stark, honestly kind of uncomfortable juxtaposition between who he was and who he is now. Back on Earth, he was a 34-year-old overweight shut-in who hadn't left his house or meaningfully spoken to a single person in 20 years. His life ended abruptly in a fatal truck accident while he was trying to save someone. He relied entirely on modern technology. Computers, the internet, all our modern conveniences. Contrast that with his fantasy life. He wakes up as an infant named Rudeus in this rural European-style village. There's no electricity, there's no gas. If he wants to hop on a computer, well, he's totally out of luck. But what he actually does have for the very first time are genuinely loving, attentive parents, a swordsman named Paul and a healer named Zenith. It's a really primitive world, but it is just overflowing with potential. And this quote right here perfectly captures his mindset right after death. My life was at a dead end anyway, but at least I wanted to graduate from being a virgin. Okay, I know that sounds pretty crass, but this is a crucial piece of the source material. It entirely grounds us in Rudeus's cynical, regretful baseline character. He isn't immediately reborn as some noble, flawless hero. Not at all. He is a deeply flawed human being whose primary feelings upon dying are just apathy and petty regret. Understanding this pathetic baseline is absolutely essential if we want to actually appreciate the massive character growth that comes later. Section 2. Rules of the Magic System. Let's see how his discovery of the world around him actually builds up. In his rural home, there are only about 5 books total. For a guy completely used to the internet, yeah, that's rough. But one of them happens to be a magic manual. According to this textbook, magic operates on some very strict rules. You either use verbal chants or you draw magic circles, though chants are by far the mainstream method. Most importantly, the book states as a hard fact that a person's total mana capacity, basically their magical fuel tank, is entirely fixed at birth. You just get what you get. But here is where keeping his adult intellect changes literally everything. Think about how we approach learning something new. Rudeus doesn't just read it, he tests it out. He treats this magic book not as gospel, but as a hypothesis to be tested. So his practical experimentation as a toddler yields this shocking result. His mana capacity actually increases with repeated use until he literally passes out from exhaustion. It directly contradicts the textbook. On top of that, he discovers he doesn't even need to speak the chants out loud to cast the spells. He immediately realizes that either the accepted scientific laws of magic in this universe are completely wrong, or he is just a massive, unprecedented anomaly. Section 3. The Secret to Chantless Magic. Let's dive into the technical breakdown of how magic actually functions in this world when you strip away those traditional verbal components. Rudeus takes a really scientific approach, deconstructing the magic casting process logically into 4 mental steps. Step 1, generate the magic. Step 2, set the size of the spell. Step 3, set the velocity, meaning how fast it's going to shoot. And Step 4, activate it. When he first tried to shoot a basic water spell silently, the water just dropped right to the floor. Why? Because he skipped Step 3. He generated the water but totally forgot to mentally program its speed. Once he realized this 4-step sequence, he completely unlocked chantless casting. Which leads us to a massive question. Why are chants necessary at all if magic can just be cast without them? I mean, if you can just think it, why does everyone in this world bother memorizing long, embarrassing poems just to shoot a fireball? Well, Rudeus formulates a brilliant hypothesis here. Chants are essentially an auto-cast system. Think of them like a macro in a video game. First off, they are incredibly easy to teach. If you tell a beginner to say a specific phrase, the magic does all 4 steps automatically in one try. Over generations, people probably just forgot the mental steps because the words worked so perfectly. Second, they are super easy to use in a crisis. If you're in a chaotic, life-or-death battle, closing your eyes to intensely calculate generation, size, and velocity, yeah, that's dangerous. Shouting a memorized phrase is just much faster and way more reliable. Chants are literally just automation. Section 4. Meeting the Water Saint. Eventually, Rudeus's self-study gets a little out of hand when he accidentally blows a crater in his own front yard with an intermediate splash flow spell. Realizing they have a literal prodigy on their hands, his parents hire a private tutor, which gives us a pretty great subversion of expectations. Rudeus's parents assume they are getting an elderly, bearded, Gandalf-like veteran mage. The reality? They get Roxy. She is a young, petite, incredibly blunt magic teacher who honestly looks like a middle schooler. Rudeus even jokes internally that if she were just a bit more bloodthirsty, she'd hit the perfect trifecta of anime tropes. But make no mistake, despite her appearance, she is highly, highly skilled. Roxy immediately maps out the strict hierarchy of this universe's magic system for Rudeus. The official curriculum dictates that there are 3 main magic types: attack, healing, and summoning. And there are 7 distinct tiers of mastery: beginner, intermediate, advanced, saint, king, imperial, and divine. This gives Rudeus, and us, really, a very clear, structured ladder of progression for the world. But during their very first lesson together, something critical happens. Roxy insists that chants are absolutely necessary for magic. When she says this, a giant light bulb goes off for Rudeus. He realizes right then and there that his chantless casting isn't just a neat little trick, it is a profound anomaly. He starts worrying it might even be considered taboo or heresy in this society. So, to protect himself, he decides he must fake chanting in front of others. It adds this fascinating layer of tension and caution to his newfound, totally overpowered abilities. Section 5. A Vow to Live Earnestly. We've talked a lot about magic systems and mechanics so far, but this journey culminates in a huge emotional payoff. During a lesson, Roxy makes a mistake. She accidentally casts a spell way too wide and completely destroys a tree that Rudeus's mother deeply cherished. Roxy is mortified. She thinks she's going to be fired on the spot. Rudeus, a man who hadn't spoken to another human in 20 years in his past life, genuinely struggles to find the words to comfort her. He literally has to think back to video game protagonist tropes just to figure out what to say. And he comes up with this: "You didn't fail, you gained experience." It's a small moment, sure, but it marks his first real step toward genuine empathy and actual connection with another person. Which brings us to the absolute emotional climax of his journey so far. Surrounded by a warm family, having just successfully welcomed his new tutor, Rudeus looks at his life and makes a silent vow. I can do it, live like a normal person, try hard, get back up if I fall, I will live earnestly. He completely acknowledges that he was jobless, a shut-in, and essentially garbage in his past life. But in this new world, with these tools and the second chance, he resolves to actually try. It's such a powerful commitment to not waste the miraculous opportunity he's been given. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to take away. Will Rudeus be able to maintain this vow of earnestness as he steps further into this vast, totally unpredictable world? I mean, sure, he has the cheat code of chantless magic and an adult's analytical mind, but he's also still wrestling with the deeply ingrained fears and flaws of his past life. It's just an incredible setup for a redemption arc. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive helped structure and illuminate the incredible world building of this story for you.